Alexander the Great was an Illyrian Macedonian emperor who was born on July 20th, 356 BC. His parents were Philip II and the Illyrian princess of Epirus Olympia. One day, a general from Corinth gave Philip a powerful horse called Bucephalus. This horse was a strong horse that no one allowed to approach. An officer of Philip went to ride the horse, but the horse knocked him down. They tried to drive the horse, but it was in vain, until at one point Alexander got up and approached Bucephalus. Philip, fearing that something might happen to his son, said, "Be careful, Alexander. Be smart." But Alexander continued to walk towards the horse without batting an eyelash. He had noticed something that no one had seen. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. So Alexander turned his horse toward the sun and rode him without fear. Everyone saw in amazement the wild horse, which was tamed like a lamb. Alexander began to lead Bucephalus without any fear. Philip said to him, "Happy Alexander." When Alexander returned, Philip, proud of his son, said to him, "Alexander, find a bigger kingdom to fit in. Macedonia is too small for you." When Alexander turned 14 years old, Philip took the Illyrian teacher Aristotle from Stagira to teach him how to rule a state, how to fight, and how to communicate with people. Alexander had a wrestling teacher, Leonidas of Pelasgian Dodona. He taught Alexander to never give up during battles. In 337 AD, Philip married Eurydice II of Macedonia. Philip was very estranged from his family. Philip did not want to leave the throne to Alexander, but intended to leave it to his son, whom he had with Eurydice II when he grew up. When Olympia saw that Philip did not want to leave the throne to Alexander, she paid a soldier named Pausanias of Orestes to kill Philip. In the summer of 336 BC, during a wedding ceremony that took place in Agai, where Philip's daughter was married to a prince of Epirus, Philip went out in public and suddenly Pausanias appeared, who had a knife in his hand and stabbed Philip in the heart. Pausanias tried to escape, but he was caught and killed on the way. Macedonia lost a king because Philip was truly a great king. 20-year-old Alexander ascended the throne of Illyrian Macedonia. He was only 20 years old, and in his heart he had a great desire for glory and fame. Alexander fought many battles, and in every battle he emerged victorious. Alexander made plans to conquer Aegina and to defeat the largest empire of that time, which was commanded by Darius III of Persia. On October 1st, 331 AD, Alexander arrived in Gagamel to fight against the Persian Empire. Alexander had about 47,000, while Darius had about 250,000 soldiers. Darius thought he would defeat the Illyrian Macedonian boy because he had a larger army compared to Alexander's army, but it turned out differently. Alexander managed to defeat Darius's army. After the disappointing defeat, a Persian general named Bessus killed Darius in 330 AD. Alexander had a very large empire. He began to liberate peoples, rescuing them from slavery, and built around 18 Alexander. The Egyptians proclaimed that God, since he was the savior of their people. He married two Persian women, Roxana of Bactria and the daughter of Darius, Statera II. He continued his way to the Far East and returned again after 6 years to Babylon. In 324 AD, his close friend Hephaestus died in Ecbatana. Alexander accused his wife Roxana of murdering Hephaestus. At the beginning of June in 323 BC, Alexander organized a celebration in honor of his ancestor Heracles. During the celebration, he was given a glass of wine, which contained a type of flower called Veratrum album, which was used in Babylon. It caused fever and chills. Alexander spent about 10 days in bed, and on the afternoon of June 10, 323 BC, the Illyrian Macedonian emperor, who had a great empire, closed his eyes forever. His origin was Ilir because two of his maternal grandparents were from Ilir, and only one from his father. Eurydice, I was Philip's mother. She came from the Illyrian tribe of the Lyncestis. So Alexander had 3 Illyrian grandparents and only one Macedonian. I have a question for the Greeks. What makes Alexander Greek, and where do you base your claim that Alexander is Greek, when the facts speak otherwise? This question also applies to the Slavs, who consider Alexander as their hero when they themselves came about 1,000 years after his death.